What's going on, everybody? This is Casey Washak with the Rolling for Revenue podcast, your jiu-jitsu business podcast. Guys, if you're looking to level up your business and impact more people in your community, this is the podcast for you. Today, I want to talk about something I'm sure we've all noticed, especially if you've been in jiu-jitsu for a while and you've either owned a school for a long time or you know people who own schools. You're going to notice that there's these certain plateaus that happen in the business. And what I want to do is address why they happen. So you open your school, right? And you're hustling and you're leveraging your personal relationships, who chances are you came from another school to open yours. So most likely some people followed you, then they have friends near the area, things like that. So you kind of grow to like 50 members pretty quick. And then it starts to slow down. And for most people, there's this huge plateau around 120, 150 members that a lot of people never break. They stay there for a long time. And then the problem is because they lack these certain systems, what happens is they feel every cancellation, every freeze. It's just cuts them off at the knees. So let me tell you why this happens. It's an evolution of the business. The problem is when we hit a plateau, what the business is signaling to you is that it needs an evolution of you, and the business needs to evolve. It needs the leader to evolve. Notice the plateaus, and then from there, the business and the systems need to evolve. So like I said, at the jump, the owner's doing everything, signing everybody up, teaching all the classes, on the social media, and it's just hustle, hustle, hustle. And then we kind of scale to 50, 70 members pretty quick. And we're like, all right, we're moving, we're doing good. And then we slowly grow to about 120, 150. And then it's like we hit a wall. Okay. Now, here's why that happens. It happens because the systems that got you here are not going to take you further. The lack of systems when it comes to, hey, Casey, a friend of mine wants to come try out the gym. Cool, just bring him in. That's horrible. That is not a system. Instead, it should be, what's his name? I'll reach out. And then when you get the name, phone number, and email, you input it and you let the system, the automation reach out. And now forever you can talk to that person. But a lot of times these leads live and die on sticky notes. Someone comes in the middle of class. You're in the middle of teaching. Someone walks in, you hop off the mats and you say, hey, just write your name down on this sheet of paper on this Post-it and I'll reach out to you later. I would say a good 75% of the time, we forget about that until days later, weeks later, and then it's like, crap, oh, there's one lost. And that could have been a family that wanted to train with you. See, these aren't systems. What this is it's just hustle. Hustle got you to this point. It can't take you farther. So this is where we need to start building a team, people to handle that sort of thing. And if you're not going to put somebody at the front desk, you need to have systems in place. So the minute you receive that, you put it into the system. So then the automation acts like a front desk person. This happens all throughout. Someone Facebook messages you that they need to freeze or cancel their membership. Obviously, that's not a good place to do business, is in Facebook Messenger, but that's kind of the issue with what we do is we develop these personal relationships, and then for us, there's no boundaries. It's very hard to keep boundaries, but if you have a dedicated line that people can text, mail, Facebook message, Instagram message, comment on posts, everything goes to one place, it's a lot easier for a front desk person to handle, or it's a lot easier for you to handle because it's all in one place. You don't have to check Messenger, check Instagram, check the notifications, see if anybody commented on any of your stuff, check Google, see if there's any reviews that you should be replying to, check your email, all these things, check your personal text. All of these things are not systems. They're areas you need to look at because you haven't designated a clear form of communication for the students. So instead, they're doing whatever they feel is right. I have Casey, I'm friends with Casey on Facebook. Let me Facebook message him to tell him about me freezing my account for 3 months as I go away on vacation or whatever. That's not a system. Giving people a clear-cut path on how to communicate is going to help you make sure these things get done, and it keeps the customer satisfaction high because things aren't falling through the cracks. All of these different things, and there's all these systems that are needed that are going to help you grow. So not only do you have to evolve as a leader, because for the most part, a lot of us are leaders of one when we open our school. It's us, maybe a couple assistant coaches. But what is the path for those assistant coaches to be full-fledged head coaches? Do you have one? Or are they just forever going to be watching you and you've never taught them what you're doing? It's one thing to watch, but it's another thing to educate as to the hows and whys of everything you're doing. Okay. So is there a curriculum? Is there a system to level up the coaches to go from intern to assistant to head coach? Because now that'll free up your time so you can fixate on the bigger picture and become the mayor, as this is what I like to call it. Become the mayor of your town. So what that means is you're a representative of jiu-jitsu, of your school in your town. So I need to be anywhere and everywhere, letting people know we exist and that we can help them and we can impact their lives through jiu-jitsu. Well, I can't do that if I'm calling all the post-it notes. I'm mopping the floors all the time. I'm teaching every class. You only have so much time in the day, and it's impossible. Something's going to give. So either you're going to start getting burnt out, and now the level of excitement, the level of coaching is going to start deteriorating in the school, which means the value you're bringing to your students is going to slowly lower, which means they're going to notice, which means they might leave, or you're not going to be focusing on creating more impact in your area, and which is also going to create more impact inside your school and inside your bank account. So both things can't be true. You can't be the top-notch, best-in-class head coach teaching all the sessions and a black belt CEO in business. You cannot do both. You have to choose a role. And so if you want to be the top-notch head coach, awesome. You need to hire somebody to watch out for the business and to be the mayor of sorts and get your name out there and figure out big picture. How do we attract more people into this school other than hiring somebody to do Facebook ads? Or you want to be the black belt CEO and you love the idea of growing your school and creating more impact in your area, then you need to bring up coaches that can fill your spot. I always say in my gyms, I want to be the worst coach on the team. The problem is I'm going to make it very hard for you because I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly evolving. So that means if you're going to be better than me, you have to be doing the same at a faster pace. And the really neat thing about jiu-jitsu, and this is what I tell my students all the time, is selfishly, I want you to get as good as you can, as fast as you can. So now that you're a challenge to me, and when you're a challenge to me, that means I have to evolve my game. So I don't want to be the biggest fish in a little pond. I'd rather be the little fish in the big pond. And I'm evolving because everyone else is evolving and they're getting better quick. And that goes with your coaches too. So there's this this mentality sometimes, and it's not just in jiu-jitsu, it's in the fitness industry too. Like, if I teach them everything, what if they leave? Well, let me flip that on you. What if you don't teach them everything and they stay? You're not getting, well, your students are not getting the best possible coach because you're insecure about the coach being better than you. And you got to let that go. You got to let that go. And to be quite honest, in other podcasts, I talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're meeting the needs of your coach, you're not gonna grow a competitor, as far as they're not gonna necessarily leave and open their own school and now compete against you. What's gonna happen is they are fulfilled and they're a part of a bigger mission and they want to support that mission. And therefore, you guys are doing it together. So you can't have this famine mentality where I don't want to show them everything because if they leave, I'm going to have to compete against them. And let me just say this. What I want you to do today is look up your area and look up the demographics and see how many people are in your area. And then also write a goal, like ultimately how many students you would want in your school. And most likely you can't handle any more than like 1% of the total population. So that means if I live in an area that has 45,000 people, I could only handle less than 1%. So there's enough for multiple schools. And the really, once you're in this for a while, and especially when you're doing well, you don't care about what your competitors are doing, but it's also kind of feather in the cap when you get to say, like, not only am I impacting the students in my gym, but there are other schools now that are being impacted from my coaching, my teachings, because they had left, opened their school, and now my fingerprints are on that coach, on that professor, and now they're creating impact too. That is very rewarding if you can flip your mindset, but that all comes from having a successful school. You don't care if you're putting food on the table, you're able to live a good life, and you get to come in every day, and the gym is running on all cylinders. Everybody's happy, everybody's high-fiving. It's a great time. You can go away for a month and everything runs as necessary. You don't care who comes to town. It's when you haven't focused on building the correct business for you and you're struggling and you're hitting these plateaus and you don't know how to break them. That's when you feel every new school that pops up. You feel it, and it creates a lot of anxiety and tension in you because you haven't created that business yet. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on creating the ideal business. And if the ideal business is you teaching every class, it's you putting your fingerprints on all these students, then you need somebody to be focused on the business. The business is a baby and it needs 24/7 attention. Okay. You shouldn't, if you're going to be the coach, you should be worried about these students and their ascension through the ranks and their progress. Somebody else needs to be focused on the systems and bringing people in, as well as lights and bills and stuff like that. So you need to figure out which role you want. Then you need to figure out, great book. It's called Who Not How. And this is the whole thing. It's not how do I build these systems? It's who do I know that has these systems in place and how do I get them into my school? So don't try to recreate the wheel. Our whole art is built upon the people before us. And then guess what? Someone comes up with a new move and then it spreads like wildfire and we all learn it. But everything everything we're teaching has been built before us and we're just regurgitating that. So your business is the same. Don't sit there and try to piece things together with duct tape. Figure out who knows how to do these things. How can I get them to give me that information so I don't have to make all the mistakes they've made? It's just like jiu-jitsu. I say this all the time. Business is jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is business. All right? We need to understand these plateaus are because the business is telling you you've hit your ceiling with who you are and who the business is today. Now, how do we grow from that? Usually it's not, I need more people, I need more leads, because otherwise you'd be growing already. Not everybody who comes in is signing up. There's people who are falling through the cracks. There's people who signed up, did 3 classes and disappeared. So these are all things that need to be addressed. And almost every day there's a situation comes up where you can say to yourself, that won't happen again, because I'm going to put something in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. So then as we get going, if you're going to be that CEO, you go from doer to designer. You're designing this roadmap for the school. The coaches design it for the students with your direction. And then this is very similar to the military. The generals devise the plan. The middle management teaches us to do the plan, and then we are physically out doing the plan. So you're the general. You got to devise the plan. How are we going to do this? If you don't have the knowledge to do it, seek out knowledge to do it. But ignorance is not an excuse. That's just going to keep you in that range, and where you're feeling every cancellation, you're feeling every freeze, you're feeling every life-changing event that pulls somebody away from your school, because you don't have a consistent growth, and you're not being able to retain everybody you keep. And things that are happening in the gym are not being orchestrated, meaning there's not a system for how people answer the phone. So you may answer the phone, Carlson Gracie Southern Headquarters, who Casey speaking, who am I speaking with? The next guy, the phone rings, might be like, yo, what's up? Who do you think is going to get a better response? And that's just because there's no system. So once these systems are in place, you can then guarantee almost consistent growth, as long as you have different poles in the water and you're attracting new members. But what the idea is the business you built will be very sticky. So when somebody comes in, they fall in love with it and they have a great experience and they want to keep coming. They don't have these, today was a great experience, tomorrow the coach was 15 minutes late, the next day the techniques were taught slightly different than what I learned on Monday and Tuesday. And so these are all issues that create confusion inside the gym. And then all of a sudden people are like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I need to go check out somewhere else. So guys, these plateaus are they're actually good, because it's telling you, great job for getting us here, but we can't grow any further with what you created. Now you have to evolve as a leader, and the business has to evolve with new systems. So how do we do that? All right, guys, if you got value from this episode, please share it, share with friends and family, other school owners, and go to rollingforrevenue.com and get the book Rolling for Revenue, where I give you a plethora of different ideas on how to maximize your school and create the most impact. So guys, take care, and I'll see you on the mats.